30 years. So now we can think of to teach them how to handle the failure. It is a part of a life. It's a part of a life. Then Jagdish sir selected a topic of failures or pathways to success. It really pleased me. It really satisfied me that really this is the topic which the students want. Okay, there are certain failures, but we have to move ahead. Sir, thank you very much for selecting this topic. And thank you very much for consenting to address the gathering on the failures. It is very much needed and need of the hour, particularly for this generation, which we call as a millennial generation, because the life is ahead for them. I thank Savitribai Phule Pune University authorities for allowing us to co-host this webinar series. So I thank again all, and then without much delay, I stop here. Thank you very much and welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to invite Dr. Aditya Abhyankar, sir, Head Department of Technology, SPPU, to share his views. Please, sir.
Thank you so very much, and very good morning to one and all. Respected Professor Jagdish sir, thank you so very much for joining in today. We are eagerly looking forward to listening to your thoughts. All the respected dignitaries of SPPU and PCCOE, I welcome also all of you to this very interesting webinar series. In this series, we bring all the eminent scientists of Indian origin who are in different parts of the world to grace the occasion and share their views and thoughts. And I fully agree with Dr. Kulkarni that today's session is a very special session. In Marathi, there is a popular saying, "Apayash hi yashachi pahili pairi aste." That means the first failure is always the first step towards the success. However, the corollary of that is second failure is never the second step towards your success. So it's very important to learn from the mistakes. The learning happens outside the comfort zone. And that's why the importance of committing mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and providing the feedback into the system is of immense importance in the entire research culture. And we are indeed very thankful to Professor Jagdish for selecting that topic for today's talk. I am sure that all the participants, they will get immensely benefited from his words of wisdom. I also thank Professor Ammanerkar for coming up with this very interesting concept. So this web series, Abhiman Bharat, is brainchild of Professor Ammanerkar. And it's indeed a pleasure to host this session along with PCCOE, who are our co-host today. And I really appreciate all the logistical support and the arrangements made by PCCOE. Without wasting any further time, I once again welcome Professor Jagdish and all the participants, and thank you so very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for the enlightening words. Failure is not the opposite of success, rather it's a part of success. Having said that, today we are very lucky to be accompanied by Professor Chennupati Jagdish sir from Australian National University as our guest speaker. Before proceeding further, I would now like to request Dr. Dinesh Ammanerkar sir, Emeritus Professor, Department of Technology, SPPU, and Advisor, Research and International Academics, PCCOE, to introduce our respected speaker. Please, sir.
Namaste to Professor Jagdish, all panelists and enthusiastic viewer participants assembled today for this first Bharat Abhimaan Webinar Series in 2022. It is my utmost pleasure to briefly introduce an eminent yet modest academician, Professor Chennupati Jagdish from the Australian National University, Canberra, Australia. To start with, let me speak about his India connection. Professor Jagdish has his roots in Valurupalam village in Krishna district of Andhra Pradesh. As his parents were poor, he faced tremendous difficulties to pursue higher education in early phase of his life. But since childhood, Jagdish was an extraordinarily bright student who surmounted and digested all the hardships in accomplishing the academic excellence. He received MSc Tech in Applied Physics from Andhra University in 1980 and PhD in Physics from the University of Delhi in 1986. Subsequently, he worked as a postdoctoral fellow at Queen's University, Canada during 1988 to 1990, and then moved to the Australian National University to join the newly established Department of Electronic Materials and Engineering. Currently, Professor Jagdish is a distinguished professor and head of Semiconductor, Optoelectronics and Nanotechnology Group in the Research School of Physics at the Australian National University. He has published more than 1,000 research papers, holds 6 US patents, co-authored a book, co-edited 15 books, and edited 12 conference proceedings and 20 special issues of the journal. He is a fellow of 11 science and engineering academies worldwide, for example, academies from US, Australia, Europe, and of course from India. Professor Jagdish is the editor-in-chief of Applied Physics Reviews, one of the top-rated journals with impact factor of 19.162, and also serves on editorial boards of almost 19 other journals. He has received many prestigious awards, including IEEE Pioneer Award in Nanotechnology, IEEE Photonics Society Engineering Achievement Award, IUMS Somia Award, UNESCO Medal, and so on and so forth. Many awards he has received for his outstanding contributions in the domains of nanoscience and nanotechnology, and also some domains of the physics. He holds distinguished faculty positions at many prominent universities across the globe. He has been honored with Australia's highest civilian honor, what is called AC, Companion of the Order of Australia, for his momentous contributions in physics and engineering. Most notably, he has been recently elected as president of the Australian Academy of Science, and he is the first Australian of Indian heritage in this role. All of us are eager to listen his truly inspiring story. May I now request Professor Jagdish to deliver his webinar on failures are pathways to success. Of course, there's a question mark. So, Professor Jagdish, please.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction, Dr. Dinesh Avalnerkar. And then first of all, I'd like to thank all the people, those who organized this event from SPPU and then also PCCOE, and particularly Dr. Avalnerkar and then Dr. Kulkarni and Dr. Abhiyankar and Dr. Roshni Raut and then Dr. Anuradha Thackeray, and so all the people, and including Isha, our MC today. And thank you very much. It's a really pleasure and honor for me to really be able to meet with all of you and then share my own life experiences. So in general, what happens is that none of us, when our parents expect us to do very well in the class and then want us to really be the class, the top in the class sort of thing, our teachers tell us that you need to really do very well, and then you need to be on the top of your class, and then those are the things which we've always been taught. So, but unfortunately, life is such that we always we have to deal with failures, and then really that's I want to share with you my own experiences in life and what all the failures which I had to deal with in my life, and then with a hope that that will hopefully inspire you, and then be able to also really advise you and what to do and what not to do. So thereby you can be able to move forward and be able to achieve your dreams and goals, and with optimism and positivity. So let me really share with my own journey. And so in fact, I just wanted to share my picture because of when I was in year 12, and then to current picture, then a transformation from an young man with some hair and with not so young man with no hair, and then whatever is there is great sort of thing. Okay, so really just to see what transformation has taken place and what and where my life has taken me to. Okay, as already been mentioned, that I'm from the Australian National University in Canberra, and then I also have honorary appointments in various parts of the world, including India, Japan, China, Taiwan, US, UK. So I want to thank all my colleagues for inviting me to be part of their institutions and then be associated with those institutions. It's really a pleasure and honor for me to work with my colleagues. And I also had the pleasure of working with researchers and collaborators from 30 plus countries and co-authors papers with them. The beauty of science is that there are no national boundaries and we can all work together. And then the humanity is the same. After working with people from all parts of the world, and I didn't see any major differences. You are nice to others, they are nice to you, and you're not so nice to them, they are not very happy. And probably they will also reciprocate the same thing as well. So the human responses are the same, irrespective of where we come from and where we, what brought up which you have had, for example. Okay? So now let me share with my own failures. As Dr. Dinesh mentioned about my childhood, and I started my life in a very small village in India called Vallurupalam, which Dr. Dinesh mentioned. And it turned out that I come from a farming family, and my grandparents and others, they were not educated, and they were really, believers of farming and then working hard and then be able to make a good life. That's the attitude and thinking my grandfather had. But my grandmother believed in education and then asked my father to go beyond high school, because high school was the biggest thing in those days. And then he has gone off and then got teacher training and became a primary school teacher. Okay? So being a teacher's son, and then of course I'm expected to study well, and then of course then also that it's been inculcated in me that how important education is for the future of your life. And so really in our home, though in my village there is electricity, but there was no electricity in my home, because my grandfather thought that installing electricity is too expensive, and then he didn't want to spend money. We didn't have that much money anyway. So then I studied in front of a kerosene lamp till I finished my year 7. Okay? And so really that's but we never complained because of the fact that we didn't have any other alternative. We didn't really think that there is some other way you can really be able to do this one. We've taken this one on board, and then I used to study well, and then I used to be, I think, a school first or so till I can finish my year 7. And then it so turned out that my father lost his mother when he was 24 or so, and then because he was the only one who is educated in the family, and he's got elder brother and then younger sister, those are uneducated, then she asked him to look after them. So in the process, he realized that if he stays as a teacher, only his family will benefit, but not the rest of his extended family. So then he decided that he'll quit the job, and then he will go back to farming, but go to a place called Arikailapadu in Khammam district, now comes under Telangana. And this place is even more remote. There was no even a primary school in that place. And then we had to walk 5 miles to really go home, and on mud roads with no shoes or no sandals. In the process, you had to walk bare feet. And so it's a very, very remote place. For example, in that village, there was no electricity at all. Okay? So then I finished my year 7, and then my father was very keen for me to study, but there was no high school in my village with whom I was staying with my uncle. And then he has gone and asked my teachers, many of relatives, can he be able to host my son to be able to do his high school? But none of what do you expect and relatives, and then as you expected, none of the relatives came forward and said, and we are happy to host him, because they're all afraid of hosting a young man, and you don't know, you have to take the responsibility and all these things. So it so happened that he happened to mention that one to his close friends, and my high school teachers in the neighboring village called Potlavaluru, to my maths teacher, Sri Chagandi Sambareddy, and also my social studies and English teacher, and late Sri Allur Srinivasarao garu. Okay? So then, my maths teacher said, why don't you ask him to come and stay with us? So I have been very fortunate that I was able to live with my maths teacher, to be able to, for 3 years, and then they treated me like their own child, for example. As you know that in India, caste is a major issue, and in those days, but I understand that that continues to be a challenge for the country. That's a different issue, which I'm not going to get into the controversial topics here. But then both the teachers were a different caste than I am, but both of them treated me like their own child. So that is where I realized that, human beings are the same. We unnecessarily divide ourselves in the name of caste and, language or religion and all these things, which is really unnecessary, and the generosity is everywhere. Okay, none of my relatives wanted to host me, but at the same time, my teacher was willing to hosted me, for example. So I'm so grateful to both my teachers. Without my teachers and their help, and I would be probably plowing the fields in India today. Okay? So because I would have not been able to do my high school. If I would have not finished my high school, I would have not had a chance to go to college, and then I would have not gone to the university. I'd probably be, like my cousins, they're all doing farming, for example. Okay? So even my sister could not study beyond her 7th class because of the fact that it was difficult for her to be hosted by any family. Being a girl, it even became more difficult as well. Okay? So then I used to be among the class first or second or third, and then it turned out that the state level exam in the year 10, and then I happened to be class third or so, which I was quite happy. And then my teachers were also happy because, when we 3 of us were competing with each other, and then I happened to be number 3, which is fine. Okay? Then I had started living on my own in a town called Guntur, and started living on my own from my year 11 onwards. I was only 14 years at that time, and then suddenly I started, living on my own in a rental room along with another friends, and then going and eating in the mess. And then what do you do being a teenager? And there's no supervision of teachers or, no supervision of parents. You goof around. Okay. So I used to go to movies and hang around with friends and chat about this, chat about that, and all these things. So in the process, I didn't do very well in my year 12. It was a shock for my parents, the bright student like Jagadish, didn't do very well in year 12. And then my teachers were surprised, my parents were surprised, they all had high expectations. And then I really didn't live up to their expectations. Okay? So in those days, there were not many engineering colleges in the combined state of Andhra Pradesh, now Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. There were only about 6 engineering colleges. Competition used to be really fierce. Now, of course, both the states have got about 200 engineering colleges or so. The things have changed so much. But I could not get to engineering because I used to be good in maths and physics. And then as you expected, parents and then teachers expect you to go and do engineering, but I could not get into engineering. Okay? So then I gone off and then did my bachelor's degree in physics in the VSR college in Tenali. And I did okay, better than year 12, but nothing spectacular, which you can write to your grandmother and then say that how wonderful we have done. Then I was applying for MSc physics programs, and then it turned out that MSc pure physics needed a little bit more marks than MSc Tech applied physics. So I could not get into enough marks to be able to get into MSc physics, and then I had gone off and then did MSc Tech applied physics with electronics. It's a 3-year master's degree after finishing of the 3-year of bachelor's degree in physics, for example. Okay? This is in Andhra University in Visakhapatnam. So then it so turned out that, I used to be very active in the student union politics. So I used to attend classes and I used to spend a lot of time helping students. A student didn't get hostel seat, or a student didn't get a scholarship, or one thing or the other. And I was always helping students to really, open the doors for them. So that's how, I was spending a lot of my time in getting involved in the student union politics. And then also in my MSc Tech, I failed in my material science courses because that particular teacher, and so that means, of course, I was not studying well as well. I don't want to blame my teacher, but it so turned out that, about 80% of the class has been failed by that teacher, and the teacher has got a particular way of teaching, and none of us followed him. And also, he's also a little bit biased in terms of caste-based marking and all these sorts of things, which is history now. But it's anyway, but that's the bottom line is that I didn't do very well. I'm not going to blame my teacher. I take my own responsibility. I failed in my material science courses. Remember, I couldn't get into engineering. I couldn't get into MSc pure physics. And then I couldn't get into, I failed in my material science courses. Okay. These are some of the failures which I've gone through in my childhood, for example. By the way, that till I finished my year 12, I studied in my mother tongue called Telugu medium. So that means only from bachelor's degree onwards, I started really studying in English medium. I just wanted to keep that one in mind as well. So then when I finished my MSc Tech, and then by the way, that it turned out that I contested for elections in my 3rd year of MSc Tech, and then I failed to get elected as a president of our College of Science. That is another failure. But then that's where I realized that all the people whom they have been helping in terms of getting scholarships and other things, and they were telling me, sorry, sir, I cannot vote for you because I have to vote for my caste person. Otherwise, they'll eliminate me from my caste and all these sorts of things, though it's a secret ballot. Then I've learned also it's very difficult to change people and their mindsets. So let me now focus on my studies. In the final year, I started studying. And then again, I was able to get back to, in my 3-year course of my MSc Tech, to third place in the class again as well. So I told you that in my year 10, I was class third. And then again, my MSc Tech. And the first 2 years, I was doing not that well, but I was able to bring all of them well in my final year or so. Okay? Then I started applying for jobs. Then I used to apply for physics jobs, and they used to say that you're not a physicist because you didn't do MSc pure physics. You've done MSc Tech applied physics electronics. Then I used to say that, okay, let me go and apply for electronics jobs. Then they used to say that you're not an electronics engineer because none of your degrees is engineering. They say Bachelor of Science and Master of Science, for example. Okay. So then I have been told that I am neither a physicist nor an engineer. Okay. I'm sharing this with you, but I'll come back to you how to be able to get around that as well. So, okay. So as I mentioned that I studied in front of my kerosene lamp in these things, and even during my PhD, because this place is so remote, and then we had to walk bare feet, even from Delhi. I used to take a train to go to Khammam by 24 hours train, and then take another bus and then walk 5 miles, about 2 hours or so on mud roads. And my sister next day morning used to remove all the thorns from my feet, because if you go on bare feet, these roads are not really clean roads, and you used to get all the thorns and all things. Okay. So that was the childhood, and that's what we had to really deal with. So then I started applying for the MTech programs, and in IIT Delhi and various other IITs and the IISc Bangalore and other places, with a hope that I'll be able to probably get to MTech program, and then be able to, maybe people may start accepting me as an engineer also. Okay. But it so turned out that none of the IITs has given me the MTech admission, and partly because of the fact that they used to interview us in English, and then my English language skills were not that great, and then so in the process, I was not able to get into the MTech program. It so happened that I happened to visit Delhi University during my visit to Delhi, and I happened to bump into my classmate, Professor Srinivas, who is now just retired from Delhi University from physics department. And then he was there, and then he was asking, how come you're here? And then how come you're here? So then he said he's applying for MPhil program at Delhi University. Would you like to apply? Then I said, okay, I'll also apply. I don't know whether I'll get MTech admission or not. I applied for MPhil program, and I got into MPhil at Delhi University, and did my MPhil and PhD in Delhi University in physics, and working in the area of semiconducting thin films, for example. So then it so turned out that at that time, Delhi University has decided, and they will start a bachelor's degree in electronics, because the feeling was that engineers are very good in terms of doing industry work, but if you want to R&D, you need to have a physics background, maths background, as well as electronics background. So that's why the Delhi University started bachelor's degree in electronics at that time. So then one of my friends who was working in this college, one day he knew that I'm an electronics person, and came and asked me, we are looking for some lecturers, would you like to come and join us? So since I was finishing my PhD, then I said, I might as well apply for this one. I don't know what's going to happen and whether I'll be able to go overseas or not. Then they offered me a job, and then I ended up joining that place and established some laboratories and worked with those students. And in fact, those students whom I taught in early 80s, even now, they keep in touch with me. In fact, one of the students from Delhi, Lalita, sent me an email today, for example, asking what she should do in the future and advise and all these things. Okay. I really enjoyed working with students. It's been really a pleasure. And particularly if you're really good in teaching, students also love you. And in the process, you really develop a very strong relationship between teachers and students, for example. So meanwhile, I was very keen on going to overseas and gain some international experience in doing research. So in those days, there were no computers, there was no internet. And then we used to really get magazines like Physics Today and IEEE Spectrum by C-mail in 6 months later than the actual, the date of that particular magazines, for example. In these magazines, they used to advertise positions. And then I used to apply for everything what I thought is relevant to me. But they never used to give deadlines. But because you don't know, because in those days there was no information available to you, because of the fact that there was no internet, like which you can now take it for granted, and all the information is available at your fingertips, for example. So then I used to get rejection letters left, right, center. So then can you imagine how many rejection letters I would have got during that 3-year period? Can you guess? And if it is in a theater, I would have asked you that question. A student put up their hand and said, what about 10? Or somebody says 20, or somebody says 50. I had more than 300 rejection letters during that 3-year period, more than 300 rejection letters. Okay? So the key point is that, but I've never given up. So giving up is never an option. That's what I wanted to keep that one in mind. It so happened, Dr. Srinivas, my friend who I told you that, who really mentioned to me he's applying for an MPhil program at Delhi University. He happened to go to Queen's University in Canada because his supervisor knew another professor there. He came back to do his PhD thesis defense, and I happened to express my frustration. I'm trying for all these positions. I'm not able to get any postdoctoral fellowship. Then he said, why don't you write to Professor David Atherton? And he seemed to like people from Delhi. But only thing is that he doesn't work in your field of semiconductors, but he works in magnetic techniques for detection of corrosion in oil and gas pipelines. So I said, okay, nobody is giving me a job in semiconductors. I might as well write to this gentleman and then see what's going to happen. So then he wrote me back. In those days, it used to take 3 weeks to get a letter, send a letter, and then it used to take another 3 weeks to get a letter back. After 2 months, I got a letter from him saying that he's applying for funding, and if he gets funding, he'll let me know. So it so turned out after 6 months, I got an offer letter to go and work with him for 2 years as a postdoctoral fellow with the possibility to extension for 1 more year, for example. So really, I didn't know anything about magnetism, except my bachelor's degree, electricity magnetism course in my bachelor's degree in physics I have done, that's about it. But once you've done research, you know how to identify the knowledge gaps and what to do research, how to establish labs and how to really take data, how to interpret data, how to write papers, and all those generic skills you gain, problem solving skills and other things. It so happened that he asked me to set up a new experiment, which I had to do literature survey, identify the equipment needed, and then I ordered for it and I got it and I established the lab. I produced enough results to write a paper. Apparently he's very happy, but I didn't know whether he's happy or not. I was working my 13, 14-hour days, 7 days a week because I was single. And I really, thought that this gentleman gave me the opportunity. I have to prove to him that he made a good decision, and I didn't want him to feel regret that he chose somebody who's not in his field, for example. I've learned a lot, but also gave me, by the time I finished my 2 years, I published about 10 journal papers. And then I started getting invitations from the magnetics conferences to, give invited talks. Then I realized that whatever the work which I'm doing is having an impact, and some of the industry people started offering me jobs and other things. It so happened, there was another professor in the same department, knew I'm a semiconductor person working in magnetics, and he came and asked me, Professor Jim Williams, Professor Jim Whittam, his name, and Professor Jim Williams is starting a new department at the Australian National University called Electronic Materials Engineering. He's looking for some good people. Would you like to go to Australia? So then I said, yes, though I'm enjoying working in magnetism, my favorite field is my semiconductors. If I get an opportunity, I would like to go back. Again, I gave my CV to him, and he faxed my CV. Still, there was no email or computers at that time. And then he faxed my CV to Jim Williams. And for 6 months, I didn't hear anything from him. And again, one fine morning, I got a fax from him saying that we just got funding. Would you like to come to Australia? So then it so turned out that I had my girlfriend. She was finishing her PhD in Delhi University in botany and Vidya. And then then I had gone back to India, and then we got married. And she's from Mangalore area, in fact. And so then, anyway, she came and joined me, and she was pregnant. And I told Professor Jim Williams that I will come to Australia after our baby's arrival. So that's how, in July 1990, we arrived in Australia, my wife and I, along with our 2-month-old baby daughter, with a 2-year contract to explore what opportunities are in Australia. So now, of course, it's all now history. And then it so turned out that, again, they wanted to start something, new programs. And then I put up my hand and said, I'm happy to give it a go. I don't know anything about it, but being a semiconductor person, and I worked in magnetism, and then I proved myself, and I'm happy to give it a go. And then they gave me the opportunities. And then everything which I've taken, I put all the effort which I could put in. And in the process, that's been successful. They offered me a permanent position. In fact, I took leave from my college for 5 years without any salary. And then they were asking me back, when are you coming back? So then I told Professor Jim Williams that, look, I don't want to hang around here as another postdoc for another few years. And if unless otherwise I got a permanent position, and I might as well go back to my country. I got a permanent position in my college there in Delhi. So then he promised me that he will create a position for me, and then that's what he did. And then later on, I established my own research group and then built up the group, and then climbed the ladder from lecturer to senior lecturer to associate professor to senior professor to distinguished professor. That's the highest title which you can get in the university. And I've been very fortunate that Australian National University really supported me and then encouraged and then appreciated what I've been doing, for example. Okay. So now let me tell you that, of course, Dr. Dinesh mentioned already about the various recognitions, but I don't like to talk about myself because I prefer my work to speak for itself rather than me going and telling people that how wonderful I am. But since I shared my failures with you, I also want to come back and at least make you aware of that. I have been told that I'm not a physicist. So now, I've been elected as a fellow of the Australian Academy of Science and fellow of the American Physical Society. And then Australian Institute of Physics has given me Bowes Medal for Research Excellence. And of course, Indian National Science Academy has elected me as a foreign fellow and other academies as well. And then Australian Academy of Science has given me for my outstanding contributions in physics, for example. And Optical Society has given me another award and all these things. So now everybody accepts me as a physicist. At one stage in my life, people told me I'm not a physicist. Okay. Key message is somebody may say something to you, take that as a challenge, and then don't really get down by that one. And then prove to people that they are wrong. The way you can do that one, you go and don't argue with them. You go and you choose your own path and you keep going and you really accomplish things, and then people will accept you that whatever you have achieved, for example. Okay. And then I told you that I failed in my material science. I have been elected as a fellow of the US Materials Society and Electrochemical Society, American Vacuum Society, and I served as a president of the Australian Materials Society. An International Union of Materials Societies has given me their highest award, for example, and various other awards have been given for my contributions to material science. And now people acknowledging me, I'm again an excellent material scientist as well. So now I told you that I've been told that I'm not an engineer. And again, I've been elected as a fellow of the IEEE Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. It's a global body of about 400,000 engineers. And then IEEE itself has given me Nanotechnology Pioneer Award, and the Photonics Society gave me Engineering Achievement Award. And the Australian Academy of Engineering and Technology has elected me as the fellow. Indian National Academy of Engineering elected me foreign fellow. And then even I was served as a president of the IEEE Photonics Society and Nanotechnology Council, for example. So most recently, US National Academy of Engineering, which is a very few people get elected to this one, they elected me as a foreign member of the US National Academy of Engineering. Okay. Again, I've been told that I'm not an engineer, but now they accept me, I'm also an engineer as well. So it doesn't really matter what people tell you at some stage of your life. You believe in yourself, you work hard and smart, everything is possible in life. I'm a strong believer of that. As again, Dr. Dinesh mentioned about the Australia's highest civilian honor. What is the probability of a boy from a small village in India getting Australia's highest or a foreign country's highest civilian honor? Close to zero, but not zero. It's close to zero, but not zero. That means you can put your effort into one, you can make the close to zero to one, to make it to happen sort of thing. Again, I didn't aim for this one. I put my head down, I keep doing my work and training lots of students and collaborating with people. And wherever I could serve various professional societies and all things, I kept on serving them. And then in fact, when I got this invitation and then been told that I'm going to be honored by our Governor General, I was completely shocked and surprised. I didn't even know that I have been nominated, for example. This is somewhere equivalent to something like a Padma Vibhushan or somewhere between Bharat Abhimaan, Padma Vibhushan and other things sort of thing. Of course, I don't have any of those things, but I'm just sharing with you to see what is this Companion of Order of Australia sort of thing. Again, okay. So that means this again an indication to you that everything is possible in life if you really put your mind to it and you keep doing your work and work hard and smart. Again, as Dr. Dinesh mentioned, that most recently I've been elected as the president of the Australian Academy of Science. And not only am I the first Indian, first non-European Australian to be elected to this role, first Asian, if you want to call it that way as well, sort of thing. Again, I never expected that they will invite me to be the president of the academy. And again, my job there is to really promote Australian science and engaging, with the Australian science to be brought closer to the international science, for example, strengthening linkages between Indian science and Australian science, for example, is something, a natural thing which I will be working towards now. Okay. I hope I've convinced you that everything is possible in life. It doesn't matter how difficult your life has been and how challenging your life has been, how you look, and it doesn't. All these things are irrelevant. And unfortunately, as human beings, we set barriers in our own mind. I am this, that's why I cannot do this. I am that, that's why I cannot do this. It doesn't matter you're a boy or a girl. It doesn't matter which state you come from and what religion you belong to, and then what caste you belong to, and then how difficult your life has been is irrelevant as far as in life is concerned. Okay? So now let me give you some advice. Because of the fact that now you see my credentials, that at least I have earned my credentials to be able to advise you. And then now let me give you some advice. So otherwise, if I just give you advice, you will think that you don't know how difficult my life has been. You had a comfortable life, and then you are really telling me how to do this or how to do that one. Then now you can see that my life has been an easy one. But hopefully some of you can relate to it. First and foremost, choose something you're passionate about and have fun. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you have misery, and you create misery around you as well. So that's why you always have to choose something you're passionate about. Okay? Second thing is always dream big and aim high. Even if you get half of what you achieve, aim high, half of it which you aim for, and still you have achieved a lot. But you aim for low, and you may achieve fully, but still you may not be able to really make use of your abilities fully. That means your potential may be much higher. You're not really creating that potential and achieving that potential because of the fact that your aim itself is put self as high. Always put in your work into big picture and a worldview of your work. Just don't say, I am doing this, I'm making electronics, and I'm making this chip, or I'm making this solar cell. For example, and apparently when a delegation is passing through NASA, and then somebody is painting on the wall, and then this delegation asks you, what are you doing? And this person's response was, I'm helping to put the man on the moon. He didn't say that I'm painting the wall. He said, my task is to really put the man on the moon. I am one of the people, along with all others, are helping to achieve that goal. So that's why you need to always put your work in the broader perspective. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe you. Okay? So that's why self-belief is a very, very important one. Okay? And again, how do you build self-confidence? Well, you really work hard, and then again, also that always look for what can you do, and then how to really improve your skills. More skills you develop, and more confidence you develop as well, for example. Always think positive. Even if everything is going great, you think negative and you go down. If everything is going bad, you think positive, you can come up. Okay? So always, sometimes I tell people, life is like a sine wave, ups and downs and ups and downs. You got a positive attitude, and then sine wave is a positive slope. You're engineering students, it's easy for you to understand. Still you're going through ups and downs, but still you're making progress because you're on a positive slope. You got a negative attitude, the same sine wave, you're going down. You have a choice to make. Either you make a positive attitude or negative attitude, and that's everything is in your hands. Your attitude will determine you're successful or not. You may be brilliant, but you really need to put hard work as well. Sometimes people say that, I'm so brilliant, I don't have to do anything, but no. In fact, I can tell you, some of my students brilliant, but they didn't want to put the hard work, they have not got anywhere. And people, those who got average intelligence by working hard, and they're able to prove that they can achieve anything in life. In fact, that's what the category I put myself into. In fact, I had students more brilliant than myself, but still, it's a matter of how much effort you put in. Sometimes people say, I'm working hard, but going nowhere. Then I say that work smart. What does it mean by work smart? Understand the system and expectations. So, for example, your director is expecting you to do something, but you're working hard but doing something else. That means you're not meeting the expectations of your director. That means, you're not able to achieve the expectations from you. That means you're not able to make progress in your career, for example. So always look at what is expected of me as a student. As a student, learn as much as you can, and do as best as you can to your best abilities possible. Okay? And if you become an employee, again, what is expected of me? And always, wherever you go and whatever you do, always need to understand the system and system's expectations, for example. And resilience and persistence is important. See, all of us, started learning, say, for example, how to do the bike riding, and we fell so many times and we got up and then be able to really listen. Now, bike riding is a natural process. You don't fall down all the time, right? So again, life is also like that. Resilience, you will fall down sometimes. You have to get up, stay positive, and keep on persisting. Never give up. Giving up should be removed from your life dictionary completely. Never give up. Develop the can-do attitude. I can do it. Yes, I failed in this interview. I'm going to learn from this one how to do better next time. When I'm writing an application and I did this one, but how I learn from this one, I do better something. Okay. Again, don't procrastinate. Sometimes all of us have got this tendency, I will do it tomorrow. You don't know what you got tomorrow. What will come to your way in your tomorrow. If you can do it today. Dr. Dinesh was mentioning to me that, here, I respond to his emails. And because of the fact that if I don't do it, I may forget about it, that may get buried and he may be waiting for me, but I didn't bother to respond to that one. It will be seen as a rude thing and all these things. Just do it immediately. And then that way you don't have to worry about, when to do next. And you have to plan about it, you have to remember it. It becomes a mess. Use your time effectively. Again, time is limited for all of us. Whatever the time is lost, you're never going to recover back. You may lose money, you may be able to recover money back, but time is something you cannot lose. You cannot never recover back. That's why you have to use it effectively. And also as an individual, develop some core competency for yourself. Okay? That means, you need to be something good at something. Okay? It may be good in technology, it may be good in communication, it may be good in selling, or good maybe doing something. Whatever it is, good in organizing, you need to develop some core competencies so that people will come to you and ask for help for the particular core competency you create for yourself, for example. And find mentors who can guide you and steer you. Okay? Again, mentors can really do wonders for you because of the fact that they've gone through their life and they've got a lot of experience. They may be steer you in the right direction, and thereby you can benefit from their experience. And also, at least you don't have to make the mistakes which they made, for example. That's why I'm sharing these things with you, for example. And again, collaboration and teamwork is very important. So sometimes when you study in India and China and Asian countries, what happens is that we're all told you need to be class first, class first, class first. That means sometimes you really don't develop this competitive mentality rather than a collaborative and a teamwork mentality. Okay. Ultimately, as a single individual, you can only really achieve little, but as a team, you can achieve a lot. So that's why collaborative and cooperative effort is important. In fact, if you join a company or so, those who can work with other people are valued much better than those who cannot work with other people. In fact, whenever you get retrenchments and other things, they get rid of people, those are difficult to work with, for example. Okay? It's a multiplier effect. In my science, for example, so because of the fact that I collaborate with many people, that's why we're able to publish so many papers, because I don't have to write all the papers because my collaborators are writing some papers, I'm correcting them. But if I'm not collaborating, I have to write everything on my own, and I only get 24 hours a day. I cannot create more hours. Okay, so that's why it is important to really collaborate and cooperate. Leadership skills and social skills. Again, ability to work with other people and developing leadership skills is important. You may start off as an engineer. Later on, you may have to really lead a project team. And then you need to lead a bigger projects and bigger teams and other things. So that's why leadership skills is something all of us can develop as well. Communication skills. Sometimes in India, at least when I was studying, I've been told that you're good in your technology or science, you can achieve anything in life. And when I came to West, I realized if you're not good in communication, and then also you cannot really go too far as well. So that's why you need to be good in terms of your oral and written, both English, for example, ability to present well, and ability to write well becomes an important thing as well. Again, entrepreneurship skills are very, very important, particularly those of you studying in engineering, for example, because that's where you can go and start companies and other things. Instead of you looking for a job, you can create jobs for others. That is extremely satisfying. And again, India needs more entrepreneurs, and the world needs more entrepreneurs starting new companies, bringing new ideas and new products and other things, and also trying to develop the technologies which are sustainable technologies as a planet as well. That's something which we need to really focus on. Again, I mentioned multiple times, don't be afraid of failure. Failure is a truly pathway to success. As some people say that, has been some wise people said, it is better to try and fail than fail to try. Sometimes people ask me, should I apply for this position or should I apply for this award? And I say, give it a go. Don't, by not applying, you're rejecting yourself. Why you want to reject yourself? Let them reject you. So at least you know that, okay, you didn't meet the requirements, whatever it is. Don't reject yourself. That means, don't be afraid of failure. Okay? Only people, those who don't fail, are the people, those who are not taking initiative. Because they're not taking initiative, that means they don't make much progress as well. And honesty and integrity take you a long way. Sometimes, people have the tendency to take shortcuts and think that I will do this, I will do that, I want to reach to the top. But people know who are the people, those are honest and they got good integrity, those are not. And you cannot really progress much in any profession if you really don't have the high integrity and honesty as well. Again, be part of a community. For example, networking is an important one as well. So many professional societies have got, student chapters and other things. Go and try to create IEEE student section if in your college, for example, if you don't have one. And you can go and start chapters, electronics chapter and communications chapter, nanotechnology chapter, and so many other societies are there. They'll be able to create those ones. So that way you get to develop the leadership skills and be able to develop the networks and other things as well. And my advice always is also be kind and generous to others. If you are an academic, be kind to your students, your team, and your collaborators. Generosity never hurts you. Always generosity really opens lots of doors for you, for example. Sometimes people think that generosity is not good. In my view, my experience has been being generous, always generosity returns back. You do good things in the society, good recirculates. That's what I say. Some people say that, well, if you do something good, we have been taught that, God will make others to come and help you, whether you believe in God or not. I'm a strong believer. If you do good to the others, good will recirculate in the society and returns back to you, for example. But again, don't chase awards and other things. Sometimes people do little bit work, they spend huge amounts of time chasing award after another award. But again, also they get exposed also very easily. So that's why focus on your work and let your work speak for itself. Again, pleasure of giving is much more immense than pleasure of receiving. So start experience the pleasure of giving, helping others. A student, who's one of your classmates is struggling with their, the project work or otherwise, homework or something, help them. By helping them, you're teaching them. In fact, they'll be very appreciative. In fact, afterwards, you feel good that you helped somebody. Start experience the pleasure of giving. You'll never look back. Work-life balance is important in terms of health, family, and work. Unfortunately, as human beings, all of us give too much importance to work, only realize the importance of health and family after getting into trouble. Sometimes it could be too late. So balance that one very carefully. So again, some famous people say, it is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. Sometimes we stop doing some things worrying that whether we get the credit or not. So that's what the US President Harry Truman said, don't worry about the credit will come to you. And Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose, he invented wireless and Marconi was given the awards and other things. Then Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose was asked, Sir Bose, what do you think of this, Marconi getting these recognitions and other things? He said, invention is more important than inventor. Don't focus too much on who is going to get the credit and other things. If you do things, ultimately now, of course, everybody accepts also Sir Jagdish Bose is one of the pioneers in the area of wireless and other things as well. In due course of time, people do acknowledge those who contributed to the work as well. So now let me finish off with the last slide, in terms of advice point of view. And all of us have been taught, you have to get good grades, you need to get a good job, you need to get a high salary, you need to have a nice house will be really good, you'll be seen as successful by society, nice car and a marriage, and you get very happy, and a big bank balance and awesome stuff and beauty. And these are all called as money affluence. Okay, but none of them really make you very happy. They only make you very happy for a short period of time. So the psychologists say that the time affluence is the most important thing, okay, in life. Say, for example, do your exercise and sleep well, and gratitude express to people, those who express gratitude to your help, and savor and have contentment and kindness and compassion towards others, and do some meditation, help others, develop social interactions and experiences. This is called as time affluence. And in fact, there's a professor called Professor Laurie Santos She gives this online Coursera, free courses on science of well-being. She really tells you about how to be happy. Again, this is really important one, you learn to be happy, and not just by making bigger salary or bigger job or a bigger house is not going to make you happy, and helping other people and being kind and generous to other people, those are things which really makes you happy, for example. Okay. With that, and so let me now finish off. And I've been telling you about you need to be generous to others and other things. And then I'll tell you about also what we are doing, because I have to really follow what I preach. It's easy to preach, but if you really don't do what you're preaching, then the preaching becomes like a preaching and nobody gives value to that one. So we have been supporting our schools in my schools in terms of my primary school and high school, best student awards in honor of my teachers and my parents, which I created. And in my village school, they wanted me to build a computer, and then we donated some funds to do that one. And then to really help and support students and scientists, young scientists from the developing countries to come and visit ANU, we started an endowment in the Vidya and Chinchwad Jagdish endowment. And then we donated some funds, and the university also matched those funds, and that reached $1 million now. This generates about $50,000 every year, and about half a dozen students from various parts of the country will come and then spend some time, for example. Based on the success of our endowment, university itself has started, our ANU started something called a Future Research Talents Program. And in 2019, we had 53 students came from India and Indonesia. One student came from Indonesia, 52 students came from India, from IITs and ICES and various central universities and others, worked on astronomy, biology, and engineering, and medicine, medical sciences, and all physics, and all these areas. Experienced their summertime, doing internship, for example. Also, that there are lots of entrepreneurs are there, and again, Kiva provides you the opportunity to give you loans. And again, we have given more than 2,000 loans to women in 79 countries. Again, if you support women, families are in a stronger position or so. And again, 700 million families, African families, have no access to electricity. Kids are studying in front of kerosene lamp, which I studied. And kerosene smoke is really terrible for your health, for example. By donating a small amount like 400 rupees, for example, and then you'd be able to, this solar aid matches that funding and be able to provide subsidized LED lamps, solar LED lamps, where kids can study with a bright light, and also the safe environment and not breathing kerosene smoke, for example. Pollinate Energy is empowering women entrepreneurs in India and Nepal. Again, we support that. And Australian Friends of ASHA is supporting children in slums in Delhi. And again, we support that sort of thing. So again, for me, at this stage of my life, is really helping and enabling others' careers and others' life. And that's what makes me very happy. And with that, I'll stop here. I want to thank you for your attention. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Please feel free to ask questions, because the purpose of this talk is to really give you the opportunity to ask me the questions, whatever you really have.
Thank you so much, sir, for your stimulating session. It was really enlightening. I must say your personal story was really very inspiring for all of us. The ingredients of success which you shared were really motivating. We feel fortunate to get an opportunity to attend this webinar. Now the forum is open for the Q&A session. Participants, those who have queries, are requested to kindly put their queries in the chat box.
So there was a question from Kavishri Meshra, and then Kavishri says that how to keep self-motivation at times of multiple failures. So that's a good question. So it's not easy, but what I want you to do is that surround yourself with the positive people. Again, as they say that, means every kid is good as long as they're in good company. So it means, being with the right people is an important one, for example. That means, some people really always focus on negative things in life. This is bad, that is not good, this is not good. And there are always these things. Don't really associate yourself with them. Try to really hang around with people, those who got positive attitude in life. So hopefully that also positivity also comes to you. And then hopefully you can get through that particular phase of this thing. Again, develop things like meditation, exercise, and other things. By the way, exercise makes a huge difference, particularly on the days when you're not feeling good. Go and do exercise. On those days, you create endorphins. Endorphins really makes us feel good about it, for example. Okay, so that's how you can be able to get over that particular negative phase, which all of us go through. And include even now with all these things. Sometimes you apply for a funding, you don't get that funding, for example. submit a paper to a journal that doesn't get accepted, for example. There are many things which you always face in life, and it doesn't matter what stage of your life is, and it's a matter of looking at, okay, what can I learn from this particular experience, and how can I really be able to improve myself and be able to do a better job than what, be able to really move forward in a positive attitude. Because dwelling on that one and then really thinking negatively and then really going down doesn't really help you. You have to somehow motivate yourself and try to really find mentors, those who can cheer you up as well. In fact, that's what I tell my students. Everything is going well, you don't need me. When things are not going well in the lab, and then you knock on my door because I'll act like your cheerleader. I may not be able to solve the problem, but at the same time, I can be able to really, improve your spirits and then guide you. You could try this one or try this one and try this one, and one of them will hopefully work and you solve the problem at hand, for example. Okay, Vedant Sonava says that how not to be sad all the time. So basically, again, this is something, if you really are feeling sad all the time, that means you need some professional help, for example. And so that's something which I want you to really go and seek some help. In fact, I can tell you, sometimes, particularly when you got the PhD students, in the undergraduate program, what happens, or master's program, you work hard and you see the results. Your marks are better, you work harder, then your marks are better, then you can see the correlation between your hard work and then outcomes. But when you're doing research, you may be working hard, but sometimes those problems are not really easy to solve, for example. Okay? That means, you're not getting the reward which you got used to. That means it can really make you depressed as well. So that's why, again, having a supportive supervisor can make a difference. And again, supportive mentors can make a difference. And friends those who can cheer you up, these things. And in fact, I have to ask some of my bright students, and those are really going through a very difficult time, to go and see a psychologist and a counselor to really help, sort of thing. And they needed help and they got that help, and then now they're doing very well as well, sort of thing. So that's why sometimes, not everything is in our hands, and if you need help and you need to seek professional help, rather than thinking that I can be able to solve the problem, sort of thing, because I tell people, okay, I got experience, I can cheer you up, but at the end of the day, I'm not a psychologist, and you need to go to a professional and then seek help. Why I'm feeling sad all the time, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes there's a taboo in terms of going to psychologists or counselors and asking for help. There's nothing wrong in seeking help, because none of us can achieve everything on our own. And I told you that so many people helped me in my life, something, for example. Okay, don't be afraid of asking for help when you feel that you need some help. Okay, so let's see what else we have in terms of questions.
Sir, I have one.
Please, sir. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Yeah.
At the time of Buddha, there were many philosophies like Sankhya, Veda, and all. There was one philosophy called Ajivika Vikas. At the time of Ajivika Vikas, the philosophy was everything is destined to happen. So the destiny is not in your hands. And then with this attitude, people tend to behave like they tend to work less. And then if it is decided, then why I should work? If it is decided, then why should I have an ambition? In a very negative thing, many of my students, many of my colleagues even take this, sir, everything is decided. Why to then act? So how do you satisfy, how do you motivate such people?
Okay, so that's a good question, Dr. Kulkarni. So basically, they say that, the luck favors the prepared mind. So you can create your own destiny, and then that's something, you think that your destiny has been determined, and that means you give up. That means for sure your destiny is going to be miserable. That's what you arrive at. Otherwise, you really have got a positive attitude and say that, okay, maybe my destiny is this one. I'm going to work towards, I'm going to change that one. And by working hard, I'm going to take a different path and be able to really achieve bigger things than what's been so-called destiny something, for example. So I agree with you that sometimes philosophically people start giving up before even trying is not going to be helpful to anybody. And that's why I tell people, you don't know what your potential is. You're thinking negative, well, my destiny is known, then I won't do anything. See, basically, if you really, in fact, it used to be a joke, some gentleman I know has been praying to God and saying that, I'm poor family, and then, God, please help me to win a lottery. 1 week has passed, so then, he's, he didn't win the lottery, and then the second, another week passed, another week passed. Then he says that, God, please help me. My family is starving for a week. I don't even have food to feed them. And there's a flash comes, and then God says, please go and buy a lottery ticket. I cannot help you to buy the lottery, win the lottery if you don't buy the lottery ticket. Even God cannot help you. And then if you really don't, you take the first step. And a lot of people have been saying that, God, how come I got COVID? You're not helping me, sort of thing. But I sent you a vaccine. You didn't take that vaccine, and then now you're saying that you need help. I already sent you help, but you're not really taken that help. So God sends these things. If of course, sometimes people get into this philosophical God mode, and then what I would say is that even if you don't want to help yourself, even God cannot help you. So you help yourself first, and God will come along with you and give you a push.
Excellent. Yes, excellent. Excellent.
Okay. So then how to get self-motivated? Self-motivated again, basically, if you want to be self-motivated, again, stay and hanging around with positive people. And again, ask yourself, do I want to compare myself with the people at the bottom of my class and feel good about it? Or otherwise, I want to really at least push myself, at least aim for the ones which are at the top. But even if I don't achieve top, at least I have done much better than everybody else, then that makes you feel good about it as well. So you always have to ask yourself, what is my goal in life? And people say that being happy, how do you get happiness? Well, if you really do work, and then that really leads to good outcomes and it makes you happy. Helping other people, that makes us happy. There are many ways you can be able to do that. One motivation means always ask yourself, what do I want to achieve in my life? Don't compare yourself with others. There's always somebody who has accomplished more than you. There's always somebody more richer than you. Don't compare yourself. You ask yourself, can I improve myself today? If you keep on doing these things, what will happen is that as long as you're improving yourself every day, you're making progress. By comparing others, you can also start feeling miserable. I'm not as good as that person, or I'm not good as, I'm not as rich as that person. That person has got a better car than I am, or that person has got a bigger house than I am. You can always feel miserable from that point of view. You ask yourself, am I done better than what I have done, where I started in my life, and am I doing better than where I started off with? And then how can I improve myself, and how can I really be able to go to the next step or next step or next step? So, my research area. Okay, then I didn't really talk about my research, because you see, I was asking Dr. Dinesh, in fact, I sent my research topic, I also told him that, I'm happy to talk about, my failures of pathway to success, or in a broader talk on nanotechnology, or otherwise my semiconductor nanotechnology and optoelectronics. And then I think Dr. Dinesh said that, look, I think this failures thing will be a much more motivational thing for younger people, because particularly when people are going through difficult phases, they don't know how to deal with it and other things. And that's where I said, okay, I'm very happy to do that one as well. But I can also tell you, very rarely people share their failures. Reason being, people are always worried about others may judge them being failure. They don't want to share their failures. Because there's no straight line path in life. Life is always like ups and downs. Okay, so that's why it's important to really share your experiences as well, and also motivate yourself, and also aim for how can I improve myself today. Well, I've taken 1 kilometer walk yesterday, and I'll do 1.1 kilometer today. Small steps. You don't have to really these things don't have to be sudden big steps. Sometimes what happens is that you want to have a big step, then that demotivates you. Oh, that step is so big, I cannot achieve that one, and you don't feel like even starting. Start with a small thing and start making progress one day by day by day by day. And even, for example, if you talk to the financial people, they tell you, you start with 100 rupees and then you invest in that one, and then that becomes 110 next year, and then next year 120. That's enough compounds interest and other things in life also is like that sort of thing. You have to keep on making effort. You need to keep on making progress, rather than saying that, I want to reach there, but that's too difficult to reach, and I'll sit there and do nothing. That means for sure that nothing is going to happen.
Sir,
my research area is nanotechnology. We work on semiconductor we work on quantum dots, nanowires, lasers, solar cells, photodetectors, metamaterials, and a range of things. Just to answer your question, Mohit.
So we'd like to hear you, not online, offline, whenever you come next time to India, about your research in PCCOE.
Rather, sir, I take this opportunity to invite sir formally in my campus for our conferences. We have planned conferences in the month, 2 conferences in the month of July. Those are much more related to electronics and all. So, sir, I extend this invitation, formal invitation. I will mail you.
If you can,
okay, yeah, sure.
If you can make it,
thank you.
Pandemic is under control. So if you can make it personally to visit India.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'll try to make an effort. I used to visit 3-4 times a year in India in 2019. And then, of course, COVID came and I could not come. And certainly, I'll try to make an effort to come. And of course, nowadays with my academy presidency, the pressures on my time are only going to increase. But still, I'll make an effort to come whenever I can come. Okay?
Thank you.
So, I think there are plenty of questions. And again, by the way, I'm not asking you to go and intentionally go and start failing. Okay, this message is not that. Message is to really, you always try to put your effort, and even if despite your efforts you happen to fail, and then you really learn from those experiences and move forward with more effort. And then I just wanted to keep that in mind. I'm asking you to stop. I'm not asking you to stop studying and I'm hoping that everything will go great even if I stop studying. No, not at all. Okay, because even whenever sometimes we face problems, and we should really not be pulled down by those ones, and you can get around them and get over them, and then be able to make progress. That's a key message.
Raut madam, what I suggest at this point of time is that if there are many questions, maybe we can compile those questions and mail to sir, and then maybe he can answer, satisfy the other.
Yes, sir.
I'm more than happy to do that one as well. So there's no problem at all. And again, I've given my, okay, let me do one thing, and I'm going to give my, you Google my name and you'll find all the details, how to reach me and all these things. And I'm also giving you my email address. You can also mention in that one, and then you attended my so-and-so seminar, and so I have this particular question. I try to respond to people posting on Facebook, and unfortunately I cannot take any more Facebook friends because I've reached my 5,000. Facebook doesn't allow me to add more, but LinkedIn, there's no limit. I can be able to accept you on LinkedIn, and then people ask me all the time, asking me one advice or the other, and I try to help as much as I can, because that's what makes me happy, helping others.
Yeah. Isha.
Thank you so much, sir, for clearing all the doubts in a very satisfactory way. May I now request Dr. Roshni Raut ma'am, Associate Dean, International Relations, PCCOE, to propose the vote of thanks. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Isha. A very good afternoon to everyone. It's an honor to have been asked to offer a vote of thanks on the occasion of this wonderful session on failures are pathways to success. It's failure that gives you the proper perspective on success. Having said that, this session has absolutely been a great success. On behalf of Pimpri Chinchwad Education Trust, Pimpri Chinchwad College of Engineering, Pune, I, Dr. Roshni Raut, express a very hearty gratitude to Professor Chennupati Jagadish from Australian National University for his graceful words and enlightening session. Sir, the journey of your life, which you have shared, is really motivating, like 300 rejections in PDF and then recognition at various bodies and awards. It's really motivation for all of us. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your ingredients of success 1 and ingredients 2, 3, like that. And thank you so much, sir. It's really motivating. We are grateful for the support provided by Dr. Nitin Karmarkar, sir, Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule Pune University. Our sincere thanks to Dr. N.S. Umrani, sir, Pro Vice Chancellor of SPPU. I would like to thank Dr. Aditya Binka, sir, Head Department of Technology, SPPU, for his precious time for today's session. We are grateful to you, sir. I take this occurrence to thank Dr. Manohar, sir, Dean Science and Technology, SPPU, for his valuable guidance. We are fortunate to have Dr. Dinesh Amarnerkar, sir, Emeritus Professor, Department of Technology, SPPU, and also he is with us as an advisor, research and international academics of PCCOE, for providing valuable guidance to arrange this session. We are grateful for the encouragement and the direction provided by Dr. Girish Desai, sir, Executive Director, PCET. My sincere thanks to Dr. Govind Kulkarni, sir, Director of Pimpri Chinchwad College of Engineering, Pune, for his valuable guidance and constant support throughout. We are grateful to you, sir. I would like to thank Dr. Anuradha Thakre ma'am, Dean International Relations, PCCOE. At last but not the least, I would be failing in my duties if I don't thank our audience for their patient listening. It's not possible to thank everyone for such an appreciating involvement and the willingness they have expressed for this session. I would like to thank everyone who have contributed directly or indirectly to make this session a great success. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Roshni, and also thank you very much, Dr. Kulkarni and Dr. Amalekar, and then all the colleagues, those who have really made this event. And then good luck to all of you, and then look forward to seeing your continuing success.
Thanks, Professor Jagdish. Hope to see you soon in India.
Good. Okay, good. Okay, thank you, Dr. Dinesh. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Isha, back to you for closure.
So now, with due permission of the dignitaries, here we conclude this session. Thank you so much all for joining here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Isha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.